all know it doesn't matter who gets elected president of Carver. Do you really think it's going to change anything around here? Make one single person smarter, or happier, or nicer? The only person it does matter to is the one who gets elected. The same pathetic charade happens every year, and everyone makes the same pathetic promises, just so they can put it on their transcripts to get into college. So vote for me, because I don't even want to go to college, and I don't care. And as president, I won't do anything. The only promise I will make is that, if elected, I will immediately dismantle the student government so that none of us will ever have to sit through one of these stupid assemblies again.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Join us as we watch and discuss films on VOD and streaming platforms, deliberating on whether each one is worthy of salvation or destined for destruction in the face of the impending apocalypse. You can find more episodes of this podcast on backtotheframerate.com, where you can subscribe and share our show, and find us on our socials at Back to the Frame Rate. I am Nathan Shore, and accompanying me are the extraordinary movie mavens Brianna Budworth and Sam Cole.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Welcome back to the
Wait
pod,
a minute, Sam Cole's on this podcast? Holy shit.
He's a part-time host.
Wow.
How are you doing, Sam? Welcome back.
Not too bad. Cannot complain for sure.
Well, we are happy that the Holy Trinity is now whole again, and we are here to talk about election from 1999, part of our Party Like It's 1999 retrospective. I don't know if that's something that we officially coined, but I did a month ago when I was thinking about this. But this should be a fun discussion tonight. Have we all watched this movie before? Are we familiar with this?
Oh, yes.
Yes. I saw it again recently, and I saw it in the theater in the year 1999.
In the theater.
I saw this when I used to work at a video store. And this was right
Blockbuster, Hollywood Video.
Hollywood Video, of course. Well, I actually worked at both at different times in my life. But in 1999 to 2000, I worked at Hollywood Video. So all of these movies from 99 and 2000 were, I didn't have to rent them. I just took home, loads and loads of VHS tapes. And I didn't have a DVD player at the time. So I was.
Have either of you read the book? I have not.
No.
Illiteracy is a growing epidemic.
Words, reading.
Yes,
yeah,
no.
It is. Okay. So we're mixing up a little bit tonight. As you heard in the beginning, we started off with one of the more well-known clips from this movie. What happened to Brian's intro? Well, we have it right here. Let's start the show right here. If I could just cue it like what I was supposed to.
We'll edit that out. It's fine.
In the dying embers of human existence, as the asteroid, a behemoth the size of Texas, hurtles relentlessly toward Earth, the world braces for an apocalyptic end. Deep beneath the bunker, a refuge plunges into the bowels of the Earth. Here the chosen gather, their purpose clear, to preserve the very soul of our civilization. The 35 and 70 millimeter prints that encapsulate the magic, the emotion, and the dreams of generations past. These masterpieces, each frame a testament to the human spirit, are carefully cataloged and cradled in the cavernous confines of the bunker. Perhaps there was room for more. For friends and family yearning for salvation, but sacrifices must be made. The movie nerds stand united, the keepers of a flame, promising a future where the art of storytelling endures, transcending the boundaries of time and space. God help us all.
I'm supposed to do the music now.
Maybe
not. Wait, we had the music in the beginning of the thing. Anyways, we're working on it, everyone. We're working on it.
Oh boy.
Work in progress. Oh boy, it's right. We should put a little construction sign somewhere.
404.
Yakuza. Do you remember our discussion? Sorry.
I do. Well, I remember our discussion more than the movie, which says a lot.
I'm trying to forget the discussion.
I listened to that while driving. It's pretty captivating.
Heavily edited.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Know what you're talking about. Flawless episode where nothing happened.
No, nothing at all. No, I did not just completely lose it and fall off my chair at all. Election. 1999, directed by Alexander Payne, screenplay from Alexander Payne and Jim Taylor, cinematography from James Glennon, composer Rolf Kent, and pretty cool cast here. Matthew Broderick as Jim McAllister, Reese Witherspoon, right when she was breaking out around this time as Tracy Flick, Chris Klein in his very first film role as Paul Metzler, Jessica Campbell as Tammy Metzler, Mark Herlick as Dave Novotny, Phil Reeves as Principal Walt Hendricks, Molly Hagan as Diane McAllister, and Delaney Driscoll as Linda Novotny. That was the main cast in this. I have a plot synopsis, and we can get into all of the good stuff in this movie here. Jim McAllister, played by Matthew Broderick, a well-liked high school government teacher, can't help but notice that successful student Tracy Flick uses less than ethical tactics to get what she wants. When Tracy runs for school president, Jim feels that she will be a poor influence on the student body and convinces Paul, a dim-witted but popular student athlete, to run against Tracy. When she becomes aware of Jim's secret involvement in the race, a bitter feud is sparked.
We'll move on now to the presidential race with 3 candidates running. The first is Tracy Flick.
One thing that's important to know about me is that I'm an only child. My mom is really devoted to me. She likes to write letters to successful women like Elizabeth Dole and Connie Chung and ask them what advice do they have for me, Tracy, her daughter.
The next candidate for student body president is Paul Metzler.
I just don't think somebody would do something like that on purpose.
I think you did it.
And if you want to keep questioning me like this, I won't continue without my attorney present.
Yeah, I think we're good. So, election. B, I think you were really pulling to review this movie. So
yeah,
tell us why.
I love this movie. I think Tracy Flick is like one of the most interesting portrayals of ambition on screen. She's just such a wonderfully fleshed out character. And it's been interesting to see how the public perception of her character has shifted over time since this movie came out. I think she was really the villain for a long time. And now there's a lot more sympathy for her, which is interesting because I think Payne, and we're all big Alexander Payne fans on this podcast, right?
Yeah,
but I think he portrays her with so much empathy. Like, I think he really is very sensitive to her and her character. But yeah.
I'm blown away by, to me, it's magic. I mean, for me, Sideways is still my top Alexander Payne film. I put that in my top 10 films of all time. But his understanding of character blows my mind because at the beginning of this, it intercuts between Matthew Broderick and Reese Witherspoon. You just see their daily routines. Yeah. And within seconds, you know who these characters are, the differences in their personality, and that to me is magic. I know what he's doing, and he makes directing films look easy, and then you can go and try to do an intercut scene like that yourself, and I don't quite, to me, the understanding of character blows me away in a way that is captivating and engaging, and he's so visually sharp and quick that it's like his movies, it's like chewing like the best character bubble gum imaginable.
Yes,
I completely agree, Sam. I like how you also feel like you understand who these characters are, but it also kind of subverts it as well, because I think, as you mentioned, B, I think as the public has, as we've have some distance from when this movie came out, I think opinions have also changed on Tracy Flick as a villain, and maybe that has flip-flopped over the years as well. And I want to get into that in a little bit. But the Matthew Broderick character, you can't ignore the fact that at this time in his career, everyone associating him as like the 80s, Ferris Bueller is stamped all over him. And this movie opens with a scene of him in the shower, which harkens right to a very memorable scene from Ferris Bueller. And might be
the opening.
Yeah, it is a scene where he's singing like in the shower. So already you're getting those vibes like, oh, I know who this person is. And and it's a real deconstruction. At first, you're thinking this could be who Ferris Bueller is when in his mid 30s, but no, we are going to completely deconstruct somebody, and it's really a dissection of this midlife malaise, which is really depressing. It's brutal.
Did either of you watch the commentary on this movie?
No, I know it's on Criterion.
Watch the commentary.
And I really wanted to. I didn't have a chance.
Super fun fact. Alexander Payne, at the time you recorded the commentary anyway, had not seen Ferris Bueller.
That's fascinating.
He was hiring Matthew Broderick. He saw him as kind of like his alter ego. And so he put him in the role, but he wasn't really aware that Matthew was doing this deconstruction. He was just excited to have someone go all in on this part. Yeah.
Fascinating. Because
isn't that cool?
I can see why Matthew Broderick would want to take the role. Like I could see why it was appealing to him because it's so different. But it's amazing. There's nothing bad direction would indicate too much like so-and-so is a slob, but you just know in the slightest gestures that he is casual, a little bit more sloppy, and Reese Witherspoon's character, Tracy Flick, as she's perfectly unfolding this table and getting to the school at like 6 o'clock in the morning, you're like, okay, she's incredibly organized. She's more uptight. She's insanely driven, like not as much of a sense of humor. He's like middle of the road kind of. But it shows that so quickly that I think that it's the perfect movie to show to film students how to visually create characters, because I saw that and I was immediately said to myself, I know who these people are, and I've seen them on screen for 30 seconds. Like that's an Alexander Payne mind-blowing gift.
That's so true.
By the way, I completely forgot this was a MTV production.
Yeah.
And I saw that. Right. Do you remember how big a deal they were in the film industry back in the late 90s?
They actually used to play music videos. So.
Yeah. But they were so cool, so cutting edge around this time. I mean, they gave us Joe's Apartment and Beavis and Butthead Do America, Varsity Blues, 200 Cigarettes in the South Park movie. They were really trying to capture a voice of a generation. And then even in the 2000s, they kept it going. Remember Pootie Tang?
Oh, God.
Zoolander. I mean, they so, and then they got like Oscar caliber films like Hustle and Flow. So they had an amazing run of movies in the 90s, and it really defined the era. So this was right smack dab in the middle of it. So I think it's
got that cutting edge, like independent movie vibe. Like you're talking about how it subvert things, Nathan, but like it has shock value, realistic character moments. And like a perfect example of that. And like, I'm not actually going to repeat the line, but like when like Matthew Broderick's teacher friend, it just cuts to a close-up shot of him out of nowhere. And he's like, her bleep is so, and you're just like, whoa.
Like, up until that point, it feels like we're in like a high school PG-13 movie. And all of a sudden it's like, I wonder, you can't say that to Matthew Broderick. You can't. Right. That's what I'm thinking to myself. Like, he's innocent. He's naive. You can't say that. He's Ferris Bueller. He's too white American pure. And it's like, I felt bad for him that somebody would say that in front of Matthew Broderick.
No, exactly. But like even the shock value is always in service of character. And Alexander Payne will have those shocking moments a lot. Like and really briefly, you're at like the hour and 40 minute into Sideways and you go, okay, this movie has had a bunch of surprises. What else can it do? And then all of a sudden, Paul Giamatti is like getting Thomas Hayden Church's wallet from this crazy guy, and he runs out the door naked, and you're like, what? What?
Yeah.
This is a real black comedy. I think that's a term that gets thrown around with a little bit of disregard, but this is a perfect example of a really dark comedy. It's just done so well. And in the commentary, he talks about this was shot in a real high school.
Yeah.
That's how he found some of the cast and the extras. I mean, it was functioning. They were having classes while they were filming this movie. I mean, that is, to your point, Sam, really indie.
Yeah, it definitely. I'm so glad they did that because it definitely looks like it. I mean, I graduated from high school in 2000 and like characters in this reminded me, and plus because it's late 90s too, it reminded me a little bit of my own high school, totally different, but it had that 90s vibe of 90s high school. And I was like, wow, oh my God, I'm transported here. Yeah.
I think the fact that it was a black comedy, I mean, we all heard the trailer. I don't think they really knew how to market this. It did not do well in the box office. And I think all they could do was try to market this as like a high school comedy. And it's not that at all. In fact, this is not, I don't think, geared toward that. This is really, I feel, geared toward an adult audience, really, because
it's complicated.
It is complicated. And you've got your main character is a man in his mid-30s going through a midlife crisis. And that's who you're really with. Or if you, I guess, are in high school, you've got this other young girl. And that's also a very complicated story as well, where she is dealing with relationships with teachers and statutory
with harassment from
and,
yeah.
And it's like, my God, like, who is this movie really for? How do you market this? So it's no surprise to me that this movie probably was like, it was a hard sell.
I totally hear that.
Oh, go ahead, Sam.
No, I was just going to say, I totally hear that. And like the thematic element of the movie is embedded really early when Matthew Broderick's talking about ethics versus moral.
Yeah.
And then he's the one that betrays his own like MO, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you kind of sympathize with him because he's flawed, but it's like, man, this guy is having a rough
he's
time.
Kind of a I mean, I don't have a ton of as much sympathy for the Broderick character, but even before the conversation on ethics, we see him cleaning out the refrigerator and he misses the trash can with the Chinese food. And I just think, wow, what wonderful foreshadowing is that there's so much garbage in this movie that's being thrown away. She uses the trash can to rip up the posters. I mean, it's just, yeah.
And then the maintenance guy gets him in trouble because of that.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that's paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, few things here. So I think we need to talk about like how the instigating moment in this is that Tracy and Jim's friend from school, another teacher, we find out they are having this affair. And
we can't even call it that. Tracy thinks she's having an affair.
Are they sleeping together? I mean,
they're sleeping together. Yeah, I think it's sexual harassment and rape.
It is
statutory rape.
It's all those things. Yeah. First of all, this is the most disturbing thing. I don't even know how to talk about this because there's the scene. First of all, they have the scene where they're at the restaurant after the yearbook meeting, and it's just it's dripping with these predatory vibes from Dave.
Yes.
The way he's acting like he's trying to be a caring friend, but what he's really doing, he's being very calculated, trying to test the waters to confirm if Tracy can be discreet. And it's just,
you get a real Lolita vibe from it.
Oh yes.
You get a real like Nabokov Lolita kind of thing. And you see that in the Broderick character too, where he starts to villainize her for the actions, and she's just confused and ambitious, and she's like, I don't know, this seems to be working. Apparently the book makes her much more sexual, but Alexander thought that would be the wrong direction, which I agree with.
But it gets worse. Back at his house, he has the audacity to put on Once, Twice, Three Times a Lady by Lionel Richie and saunters over to Tracy on the couch. And he's so transparent, and he shares a mug root beer. Not only is this man pathetic, he's got no game either.
Right, and he's like, he said that she's like would be willing to read his novel, which he hasn't written yet. That was the funniest thing. She's like, your novel? Yeah.
And it makes me wonder how he even found someone to marry him in the first place, because he's just that sad.
It made me think of Juno too, for like a more modern comparison. You sort of have that happen there too.
The school finds out about this. And there is one thing, there's a couple things in this though that I find so completely unrealistic. And I'm married to somebody who works in a school. I have a hard time separating myself from what really happens in schools. And I know this is 1999, we're in 2024. But the thing is, there is nothing that happens in this school. It's a satire. It's a farce. Everything that happens in this movie. But still, nothing that actually happens in the school would actually really happen if it really went down if these things really happen. Like Jim would not be in that meeting when they were presenting this letter to Dave. Did you write this note? Why is Jim in the room with this? He is then complicit with this. He would be, if they found out that he knew about this relationship, he would be in trouble as well. So I don't really understand why he's in that meeting. It all makes no sense at all.
That's true. You just reminded me that I like the actor that plays the principal.
Oh, he's great.
The way he delivers his line, he's like, so what I need to know here is, he's like, did you cross the line with this girl? And he's like, oh, we were in love.
I love him because
delusional.
He represents a lot of the male characters in this movie, because every male character is undermined by poor decisions and the ability to handle like strong-willed female their counterparts. And like Jim is the frustrated everyman. We haven't even talked about Paul yet, really, but he's like this naive privilege. And Dave is just a self-destructive man with unchecked impulses. But the principal, he appears authoritative, but he's really just a passive enabler. So, I mean, there's not a single male figure in this that is a good person.
Well, it's counteracted well by Reese Witherspoon, by Tracy Flick, who's very like manipulative and obnoxious and like a spoiled like brat, like only child. Like when she finds out that she won and she's jumping around the hallway, or when she like rips the sign and pitches that fit, you know what I mean? Like she's just a really like obnoxious, like flesh crawling kind of character. And I thought she did a brilliant job playing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too. I think Reese is amazing in this role. She totally, like, the way she just holds her face in this movie. You can just see so much emotion in it. And she is a brat, and she is manipulative, and she's also like 15, you know, and the movie kind of puts the men on the level of a 15, 16-year-old emotionally. Like, sure, she can't handle anything, but neither can the adults in the room, which I think is the greater sin. But she's hard to root for sometimes.
I could root for Matthew Broderick's character. I just felt that he made some poor decisions, but I definitely hear that. I also think when he throws out the 2 votes, why did he put them in the trash? If he had pocketed those, he would have been scot-free. He could have gotten his life back together. I hate it when that happens to him.
Well, I actually done a real 180 on a lot of this, because I think Matthew Broderick, Jim's character, is set up to be like the protagonist in this, but he just sinks lower and lower, becomes more pathetic, and there's nothing really redeeming about him. His marriage is a disaster. He's trying to convince himself that he is a good teacher and he has a good job, but is he convincing himself or is he convincing us? And I think it's even underlined at the very end. We haven't even gotten to the end, but like we should later on, because he's teaching. He says he's a teacher at the end of this movie, and he's proud of that. But he's not teaching. He's giving tours at a museum.
That's the perfect example of like Alexander Payne, because he presents characters that you think, okay, he's going to be the protagonist, but then he falls into these pathetic, like flawed, like characters and like that are in Sideways or About Schmidt. They're these people who they're really like. They when I say 3-dimensional, they're very like really flawed, you know, or like when he gets like stung by the bee and he's all like pathetic, it's like, oh God.
And who have opinions of themselves that directly, like diametrically oppose their day-to-day actions.
Exactly.
Like, you can be sympathetic towards someone who's stuck in a rut with their career, who's stuck in a rut with their marriage, but then he finds out his friend is raping a student. He sleeps with his friend's wife who left him. I mean, and somehow he's still painting himself as this kid, her running for student body president has ruined my life. And I don't know that's true.
Well, I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think he has the emotional intelligence. I think that with everything going on, he's like, you know what? I have to put a stop to this obnoxious kid. He thinks he's doing the right thing, but he can't see what he's done. He can't see it. Like,
I think my thought is that what's really going on here is that Tracy represents everything that Jim is lacking. He is a middle-aged man. He is working he's been at the school for like 12, 13 years, and he realizes that this is all his life is going to be. And what's really bothering him is he's jealous. He sees someone so young, so determined, and he can't stand it because he feels that like he's stuck in his own life, barely keeping things together. And Tracy's out there making things happen, pushing for what she wants. And Jim's just watching, feeling like he missed his shot. That's why he's coming down so hard on her. He's just mad. He's not just mad about the affair that he had with Dave. He's threatened by her success and her fearlessness. She's everything he wishes he could be because he is just a pathetic loser and he's jealous of her.
I think that's a great read. I do.
I think he also thinks that she has life handed to her on a silver platter and is trying to like knock her down a few notches and be like, she has to grow as a person.
I think he does think that. And I think this movie has every male in it. There's some like deeply rooted misogyny in the men, in every single man, where he's like, oh, Tracy, because he says explicitly that, oh, things are easy for her. She just had this. She's got to learn to work for it. If I don't take away this win from her, then she'll just get everything she wants in life. And then he goes and picks like the captain of the football team, conventionally attractive, popular jock to run against her. And it's the same thing.
Can we talk about Paul?
Yeah.
Paul Metzler has this opening introduction of narration. And I think the first thing we do is we see him passed out with a copy of the Celestine Prophecy from James Redfield. I had to look up what this was, but I don't understand why that's the choice. Do you know
I missed that. You just remind me of the fact that in one of the opening shots, I think it was during Matthew Broderick's monologue, he's reading a newspaper and there's a picture of Casper Van Dien from Starship Troopers on the paper. And I was just wondering, like, what's that doing there? But yeah.
Well, the Celestine Prophecy is all about spiritual awakening and finding deeper meaning in life. And I just feel like that couldn't be more out of sync with Paul's laid back, go with the flow personality.
Yeah.
So, exactly. That's the thing. All the characters, every character in this movie is flawed, and their inner monologues are so realistic because you see what everyone's thinking, and everyone has these thoughts in real life, but when they don't say it. So when you hear it out loud in the form of a monologue, it's like shocking, but it's hilarious because it's like deeply truthful.
I'm guessing that he never even opened a book and fell asleep before he started reading it. It's all I can think of. But he is, you know what? He's so adorable is really what it is. He's so naive. He is one of my two favorite characters in this film. Is he playing the same character he does in American Pie though? Like Ostreicher? I feel like he could be going to the same school, playing the same role. He's a little bit more naive than the character from American Pie, but I feel like it's pretty much like the same guy.
They were so close together. I mean, like American Pie was like later that summer, and like in American Pie, he's a little bit more savvy, but it's almost like when he was cast, they were like, we'll cast this type. Maybe they saw dailies from Election because it was like, who knows? But yeah.
They found him at the high school and chose to cast him for this, chose to have him read. And I think he does a fantastic job with this because he's given a lot to do, but it's all just very like earnest. He's the one character who's really just earnestly trying to do some good.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And I love it when he gives his, like when he gives his speech to want to be the like school president, and he just mumbles and he stands there and everyone is silent. I thought that was really good because it shows that, like, yes, he's an athlete and he's this and that, but like his public speaking skills are zero.
Actually, I thought that it was a terrible speech, but that the high school was going to eat it up because usually they don't have very high standards for speeches.
I thought they would too. Yeah. Yeah.
I liked that we got the apathetic sister, which, by the way, that whole B plot where Paul has a lesbian sister, Tammy, who...
She is so good. She feels like the only real person in this movie. I feel like I wouldn't say I necessarily relate to her, but like she feels like somebody that actually has like somebody actually I love her ending, like the way that her story is sewn up, but feels like somebody that like I knew that person in school as well.
I didn't know that actor had died. That was a surprise to me.
Really?
Yeah.
She died at 38. Jessica Campbell. Yeah.
That's
And I read about it. I couldn't get the details, but it was December 2020. And to me, it seemed like it was really COVID related, like complications. I mean, that's kind of what I read between the lines, but
that's tough. Yeah.
Since we're talking about the speeches, I played the Tammy speech in the opening here. I love Tammy though, because what she brings to this, she represents the rebellion, the individuality, and this like disillusionment with the system. And while everyone else is playing by the rules, whether it's Tracy with her obsessiveness or she has this ambition, and Paul with his cluelessness, and Jim just trying to manipulate the system. Tammy is like the outlier who isn't afraid to call out the charade, and her speech is like a direct challenge to the idea of student government and its hypocrisy. And I like that she just sees through that facade.
She's leading the revolution, man. I know. She really feels like the Gen Xer in this movie.
So Jim, there's a lot of B plots going on here. So Jim is in this marriage that is going nowhere. And there's a scene where him and his wife, they talked about like trying to have a baby, and there's a really awkward scene where they're making love. That is, I have to call this out because it is the grossest thing. So them trying to make a baby, I felt like was watching two people move a piano. It was the most awkward thing ever.
I think it was supposed to be like that, because I remember seeing that in the theater and being just like, oh God. Yeah.
But this also leads to the fact that Jim begins this friendship with his friend Dave's ex-wife, because they separated. Dave's the one that was sleeping with Tracy. And that just becomes a very awkward situation as well. Is this a thing, where husbands start hanging out with the wife's friends and go to malls and stuff? I don't think that's supposed to happen, but so it's weird. And then on the drive back, he says something that it just comes out of left field. It says that, do you want to get a room? And at the family motel motor lodge. And I was trying to figure out, is this something that actually was said, or was this like in his head? Because he says it.
It's definitely said.
But it was like,
because there's a callback to it.
Where did this come from? Because I didn't even think there was much of a spark or chemistry at this point?
I don't think that matters to Jim McAllister in his life right now. I think he is a man who feels adrift and is kind of clinging to anything that's coming into his path. And the objects of his obsession and desire are floating through his head instead of where the focus should be when he is trying to be with his wife.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's my read on it. I don't know how you guys feel.
It was just so casually dropped and without
pretense. It did seem like out of nowhere. I picked up on the thought it was like, whoa, that was a little forward for his character.
Yeah. But I don't disagree, B, but it just seemed like it was just said without any pretense. It was like, is that like one of those things where like it's in his head or something like that? But no.
And then it's like you think that there's I sense no sparks whatsoever. And then there were sparks between them later on. Mm-hmm. And then she ratted him out. So I was like, well, I guess there were no sparks, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't understand the point.
Or she felt guilty or something.
The motel, because didn't they already hook up at her house?
No, not before then. I didn't.
I thought they did. I thought they made love at the house.
They hooked up at the house, and then it was like, hey, let's actually. Then she said, meet me at the hotel.
Oh, that's right.
And so he got all excited about it, and then went to the hotel and like set it up.
But that was after he had made that awkward comment, right?
Yeah, after, because they hooked up at the house, and then so he goes there, and then that was cringe-inducing, where he gets there at the 3:30, and then it keeps calling her and calling her and calling her, and you're just like, oh, this is not
rubbing the
gonna go well.
bathtub in his underwear. I was like, this is. I felt gross. I felt gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyways, I love the touch that Jim drives a blue 1991 Toyota Tercel, which is the automotive equivalent of a ham sandwich. It's just, it gets the job done, but it's just lacking any shred of excitement or flavor. It's just like Jim's sex life.
Yeah. I like his dream car though, because God, haven't we all had that moment where we feel like we're driving something cooler than we actually are?
I felt like I was Freddy back in, from Tale to Mr. Ripley.
Oh God, Freddy. He's another perv I don't miss so much. Yeah, I don't know. So I was kind of wondering if that offhand remark that he made about the motel was kind of like how his colleague Dave really descended and then started that awful harassment of Tracy. I wonder if this is kind of like the more McAllister deals with Tracy, his descent into craziness.
I think Dave is too stupid to realize that he was harassing Tracy. I think he was just like, oh, we're actually in love. Like he's just.
I've definitely known that guy who just
lying to himself. And then I love it when it cuts to where they are in the future and it just shows him punching
price tags.
And I laughed out loud at that moment because I was like, exactly.
Yeah, totally. And I do think Tracy's a victim in this movie, and I think he's an idiot. And it's. There is something to be said about privilege in this movie and how people use it and manipulate it, whether knowingly or not, which to your point, Sam, I think that's a great take.
No, exactly. Including her when she threatens his Matthew Broderick's career. And it's and if someone knew a certain lawyer that I would report this to downtown, it's oh.
Yeah. But, and she'd be in the right. But for me, her moment is when she tears down the posters and she's about to be caught for it. And then Tammy takes the blame for it. And she's like, yeah, sure, it was Tammy. How dare you? I'll get you.
It really bothers me that Tammy takes the blame for that. I understand why, but I'm like, why? It just, that got to me.
She wanted to go to another school. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned something a moment ago, B, that Tracy is a victim. And I wholeheartedly agree. And I didn't finish my point from before where I flip-flop on this, where originally I watched this is oh, poor Jim McAllister, poor Matthew Broderick, but I have very little pity for him watching this time around. And I actually have a lot more sympathy for Tracy. I don't necessarily see her as a villain in this. I do see her as a victim. It's strange because I can't help but see her as a child and a teenager throughout this film.
Right.
We never actually see the affair, that interaction with that affair with Dave, because there's abuse in this. There's statutory rape but it doesn't happen on screen. And as I'm watching this, I still see this young, innocent, yet very driven go-getter who's got these teenage qualities. She's vulnerable, but I don't see someone at the same time who would be easily manipulated into something that Dave is offering. And I do struggle with this. I don't see her as someone who's desperate. I don't see her. She seems smart and confident. And that's
she's
why
also alone though. And I think the movie makes a point of that.
It tries to. It does make that point that she is alone. She was the only child and she has this weird relationship with her mom. But this is my personal opinion, but my feelings, but I had a hard time buying into that the character that is presented to me in this movie is somebody, that being Tracy, would be somebody that would fall victim to this Dave character. She seems way too together and driven and smart. This is not someone who has and there's no.
I know so many women. I mean,
there's not a shred of sexuality to her either.
It doesn't. I've known so many. I mean, my lived experience in high school, right? I've known so many young, ambitious women who would, of course, because this is a person, Tracy's ambitious. This is a person in a position of power. She's a go-getter who thinks she's heads and shoulders above her peers in intelligence and ambition, what she can do. And now here's someone who's in that position who affirms that for her, who says, yes, you are. And Tracy has all of these qualities that are teenager and shitty and manipulative and all these things, but she's a kid and the adults are on the same emotional level as her and can't guide her in a better direction. They're all going down a destructive path and dealing with them worse than she is, which is just bananas.
I agree with you, B. I have known, of course, people like that as well. But this person that I'm seeing, at least what we're seeing on screen, they talk about that this is who she is, but I don't see it. And maybe because they don't show what happened with her and Dave. We don't see her being sexual. We don't see her I don't see her being that manipulative either. I mean, except for her like threatening Jim when he comes at her like, did you steal these posters? Where she really turns on him like, well, in his office, which I don't even think is all that bad what she said. I didn't find her to be that terrible a person. I find her just to be very smart and ambitious. Mm-hmm. And I don't really now see her as a villain at all.
I don't think she's been meant to seen as a villain, but I do think she is meant to be seen as very obnoxious with her personality. But it's not villainous. She's just very like...
She's a lot.
Yeah. She is
a lot.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And I also don't think the movie roots for Matthew Broderick, and I don't root for him, but I think the point is that the whole point of the movie is that good people can screw up. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I mean, and so Matthew Broderick is like, you kind of like him, but he's also flawed, and he gets himself into this ridiculous mess. So it's like everyone is kind of, there's no one comes out of this film a hero. It's just like humanity is a mess.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I love the Tracy character. I mean, I really do. And I love that she's just unabashedly going for what she wants. I do wonder if the intention is to be a little bit ambiguous around how far her ambitions will go.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think so.
Yeah, which for me, I don't read that part that way. I do see her as the victim, but yeah, she's just a kid.
Only thing that
that scene with her mom too. You see how bad her mom is when her daughter's crying, and her mom is like, "Well, maybe this is the reason why you screwed up, or this is the reason." And it's like, "Oh, okay, so you're one of those like pushy like
stage moms."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Only thing that she does that would be kind of contemptible would be that she tore down the posters in kind of a fit of rage, and who really cares, honestly?
Yeah. When she's an only child too.
She has a little temper tantrum. That's the only thing that really I could go like, that is not the nicest thing to do, but she doesn't really do anything other than being kind of a little much and a little annoying here and there. So
I think that's what makes her such a funny foil for the Broderick character, who's objectively doing really shitty things over and over again.
I don't think the movie sees her as a villain either. I think Alexander Payne is presenting all these characters with their flaws, throwing them into a melting pot. And it's basically like, look what happens when you get all these different personalities together. It makes for one hell of an entertaining, character-driven film.
I totally agree, Sam. It was hard for me to, when I first watched this movie a while ago now, really understand why people hated Tracy so much, because to me the movie's very clear that it doesn't hate Tracy, and it doesn't really hate anybody, but it especially doesn't make Tracy out to be a villain, I don't think.
No.
But it's, I think, just thinking back to 1999 and the early 2000s and culturally, how it was for women and ambitious women. I think she got compared to Clinton, even like years later, she was still compared to Hillary Clinton. I'm like, all right.
That's right.
Speaking of real politicians, this is Barack Obama's favorite movie about elections or politics, I was reading.
Yeah, well, it is the best one.
Awesome.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah. Why don't we just mention quickly a little bit our thoughts on the ending of this, because it was changed also after test audiences did not like the original ending.
Ooh, what was the original
I don't
ending?
know this.
The original ending, Jim is a used car salesman after he gets fired. And he bumps into Tracy and they reconcile and he signs her yearbook.
Ooh,
This did not go.
I don't like that.
Yeah. So obviously
that's out of character too. They wouldn't reconcile. She would not reconcile with him. He would not reconcile with her.
That's true.
I do appreciate the change in this because I think it's better because as Jim gets lower and lower and more despicable as this movie goes, he actually it's topped off by the most childish move of the entire film for him. Out of, I feel like, pure jealousy, he sees her working for some politician, some representative,
a Republican, by the way, which I think is a very funny nod.
Yes, and he throws his big gulp at the car as it's driving away, and he scurries off like a weasel.
And his voiceover there is great.
This is easily the lowest point of the whole movie for him. Yeah,
I love his voiceover there too because he's like trying to compose himself. She's like, "I wish her the best, but how does she get there? What?" And then his like anger grows up. He's like, "Who the fuck does she think she is?" And you're just like, so there's the truth is coming out in his character.
He is not healed at all. And no, not at all.
No, Oil and Water, those two. It's such a good movie. Man, and Alexander Payne, that guy, keep making movies. Glad I rewatched The Holdovers too.
I think he's got a documentary coming out in 2025, which should be interesting. I don't think he's done a doc before.
I heard they're making a part 2 to Election.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Well, that's been kicking around for a long time, but I hope
directed by him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that would be amazing.
I know,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah,
would love to see that.
Yeah.
There's 3 Sideways novels. I wanted him to do the other 2 movies, but I can understand why he didn't because it's lightning in a bottle and it'd be impossible to recapture that. I totally understand it. I'll put it this way. I sympathize way more with Paul Giamatti's character because he's flawed but he's not a morally bad. He's just a depressed, like neurotic, like it could work harder on his novel, but yeah.
Yeah, he's more self-destructive than he is outwardly destructive. The Broderick character feels destructive.
Yeah, and the destructiveness of the Broderick character sneaks up. Like he does things worse and worse, and you're like, wait a minute, he just interfered in the election. Like that's like that he thinks that he's the good guy, but he's not.
Right.
And that becomes clearer later on. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, oh my God, he really crossed the line. And Dave is just a whacked out idiot from the beginning. Like the second Dave speaks at the beginning, you're like, oh, don't like this guy at all.
Right. And they're in a band together in his basement, God. It's just all just gross. It's just gross. But yeah, just wonderful, intricate portraits of people muddling through the world together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Shall we take a break and come back with our final thoughts, our rating, and vote decision?
Sure.
Woo!
Napoleon, this is Pedro. Would you mind showing him where his locker is?
Sure. Yeah, there's like a buttload of gangs at this school. This one gang kept wanting me to join because I'm pretty good with the bow staff. Did you ride the bus to school?
No. I ride my bike.
What kind of bike do you have?
It's a sledgehammer.
Dang. You got shocks, pegs. Lucky. You ever take it off any sweet jumps? You got like 3 feet of air that time. Can I try it really quick?
Just want to thank all of you for joining us today on our podcast. If you're enjoying it, please hit the subscribe button to get new episodes in your feed each and every week. We don't have a budget for paid advertising, so we rely on you, our listeners, to help us spread the word. The best way to support us is by posting it on social media, or better yet, tell the people in your life who love movies about our show. You can find us at backtotheframerate.com and follow us at Back to the Frame Rate on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. Lastly, we would be incredibly grateful if you left us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You could just pause the show right now, go to those platforms, leave it. We'll still be here. Thank you for your support. Okay, we're going to do our final thoughts on this and our rating. Who wants to go first here? Sam, thank you for volunteering.
I actually was just about to volunteer because I usually always avoid I would give this movie 4 stars, and I would say 100% yes to The Vault.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. B, why don't you jump in there? What are your final thoughts, your rating, and your Vault decision?
Love this movie. Love Tracy Flick. I'll pick Flick any day. 4.5 for me. And yeah, to The Vault. We need something funny to watch while we're in there. Can't just be Yakuza all the time, guys.
Yakuza, we only knew each other an hour.
I'll expand just a tad before I give my rating. I think this movie is a real oddity. I know it has a devout following, and I respect the film on a level where its quirkiness and bizarre tone are constantly playing this tug of war, both with laugh out loud lines of dialogue, but also some extremely dark themes with infidelity and statutory rape between a student and a teacher, and it ping pongs between these types of themes with this real laid back attitude that honestly you're either on board with or you're not. For me, I laughed out loud a decent amount of this film, and I like digging into this movie for the podcast, but I'll have to say, I didn't take a lot of pleasure in watching. I feel really awkward watching this movie. It's almost kind of like watching the film Happiness, which is a much darker film.
Oh, I like this so much better than Happiness. Sorry.
I like Happiness. I feel that pit in my stomach while I watch it. Like I'm watching just miserable people do miserable things. That's a much more extreme version, but I get a similar kind of vibe out of this, that it's almost like it's pointing in that direction. So, and it might also because I have a hard time relating to anybody in this movie also. So I had a hard time vibing with this. I'm still giving this 3.3.5 out of 5 stars. So it's not even on my upper tier Alexander Payne. It's probably sixth because I like so many of his other movies a little bit more. But this is a director I adore. So it's even like middling Alexander Payne is still really good. I'm saying no. Okay. And it's not my favorite Payne's. But because you two have already said yes, it does go into the vault.
Nice.
I realized that in my review in the vault, I forgot to actually give the final word review, but just go back and listen to the podcast again, and everything I said before is part of the final review.
There you go. Perfectly fine. Keeps things nice and tight. Woo! I forgot to mention on the top of the show, which I need to do because that way people know what's to come. But we've got a really exciting segment that we're about to transition to.
You must choose. Choose wisely.
You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I reprogrammed the simulation so it was possible to rescue the ship.
Yeah.
You cheated. I don't like to lose.
Call it.
Kobayashi Maru in the house.
We are in the middle of our retrospective. So therefore, we are going to have a 1999 movie draft. Woo! Woo! Do it, Sam. Woo! Woo! Come on.
Woo!
Okay, okay. I should have had the clip queued up. If you remember, a year ago, we did this with a 1984 movie draft, which was a lot of fun. So I think this would be pretty cool. The whole idea of this is that we draft films. If a film has been drafted, nobody else can draft it. Okay, so we have our order set. We're doing 10 rounds. The order is going to be Sam, then B, then myself. Snake order, so that means that it wraps around. Sam gets the first pick, B gets the second pick, I get the third pick, but then I get the fourth pick as well, and we just keep wrapping around until we do 10 rounds. All right. Is everyone ready?
Yes.
Okay. Let the games begin. Sam, to you, what is your number one pick in the 1999 movie draft?
The Blair Witch.
Damn it.
I love that film.
Yeah.
It still terrifies me, actually.
I made Tom watch it for the first time.
Oh, really? What do you
I
think?
don't know why it works so well, to be honest. There's so many other movies that try to do that thing, and but it really scares me.
It's scary.
Did you, when you saw it for the first time, did you see it in the theater for the first time?
I saw it in the theater, yeah.
Did you think it was real?
No, I never thought it was real. I just was so impressed by it. And I remember coming home to my home in Massachusetts and like listening to the crickets in the woods and just being kind of like in the world of the movie still.
Yeah. The theater that I saw it in, I think their air conditioner or their central air had died, and it was about 110 degrees. Oof. It was a rough watch.
That is rough.
Yeah. Good. All right. We open strong. B, what is your number one pick?
Ghost Dog
Ooh.
by Jim Jarmusch.
You went early for that. I knew you were going to take it.
It's one of my favorites. I gotta have it. By the way, if no one's seen it, watch it. One of the best soundtracks, one of the coolest movies, incredible performances. Yeah. Just go watch it. Yeah.
All right. I have my second and third pick. Well, my top tier, I had two movies, and I get them both. So it doesn't matter. I'm going with The Matrix. And for the first round, and right after that, I'm going to take Fight Club right after that.
Oh, you can have it. So I'm next.
You are next.
All right. I'm sticking with the kind of indie feel, but it's just true to me. One of my favorite 99 movies. Kind of in the same vein as Election but I'm a Cheerleader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That movie's so funny.
I haven't seen it. We talked about... Didn't we talk about doing that for June?
Yeah, we did. It's great. You can watch it any time of year, though, and it's still good.
Sam, you have two picks to you, second and third round.
Second and third round. One is The Insider.
Oh.
If you light up, you're going to get your fix. And let's see. And, two would be Magnolia.
That was on my list, yeah. I'm excited to talk about Magnolia with you guys. It's going to be so fun.
That'd be fun.
Well, fun might be strong. It's going to be something. All right. For me, my third pick, because I just want to get movies with endlessly hot people, is The Mummy.
The Mummy. Okay. Mummy. It's a movie I haven't seen in 20 years. And I always felt like it was so derivative of like the Indiana Jones films. Do you feel that way now that you've seen that franchise?
Yeah, probably, but I saw it first, so I don't care. Okay. You know?
Also, The Mummy's a lot of fun. It's so
fun. And like I said, and I cannot stress this enough, everybody in that movie is hot. Rachel Weisz, hot. Brendan Fraser, hot. This is important.
I have two picks here. So I am going with maybe my favorite Spike Jonze movie, Being John Malkovich.
That was nice. On my list.
That is going to me. I love this film. Although I haven't seen it in ages. And like I keep thinking like, I got to watch it again. It's probably been, again, another 20 years since I've seen it. But I had such a good time seeing this. Yeah. I think it changed movies. Like I'd never seen anything quite like it before. Yeah. Okay. And I have another pick going into this. So we just closed out the third round. This is going to be the beginning of the fourth round. And I don't know if anybody else had this on their list, but this next movie, I think, changed indie action going forward and launched this guy's career. I'm going with Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Oh, that's a cool pick.
Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
Not as good as Snatch, but set the tone for his entire career. A lot of fun. And Jason Statham launched his career as well. Mm-hmm. Fourth pick, sure. B, going to you.
Well, I'm torn because there's two that are like super tied for me here, but unlike you guys, I don't get to pick two at once. I only get to pick one at once. I'm going Virgin Suicides.
Oh, that was on my third
Sucks
tier.
To suck, Nathan.
I love Virgin Suicides.
It's a great movie. That's Sophia. She's got something, you know?
Yeah. Sam, this is closing out the fourth round and the start of the fifth round. So what is your fourth pick?
The Thomas Crown Affair.
Ooh, la, la. I have not seen that movie I haven't seen that movie as an adult. I just remember seeing that movie like on TV when other adults in the room watched it. I've got to give that a real shake.
Nice.
Yeah.
It is
Enjoyed
great.
it.
What's your
All
fifth
right.
round pick?
Fifth round pick, Sam.
Oh, me again?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Spoiled for choice.
Hold on 1 second. 5, 4. I'm going to go with, because it's so interesting to me, I'm going to go with The 13th Warrior.
I've never even heard of that.
I don't like that movie.
John
fine.
McTiernan. Yeah.
I'm Antonio Banderas. I remember this movie.
Bringing Out the Dead. Scorsese and Schrader.
Bringing the Dead.
Yeah.
Bringing out the dead.
Bring the dead. Bring out the dead. Yeah.
Good pick.
Don't confuse me. Bring out the dead.
No, that's I'm writing shorthand on my notepad here. That's why. Good pick. That was on my list. You stole it. You stole it.
Once again, Nathan, we're aligned.
All right. I was hoping I would snatch that one.
So sorry.
Okay. This could be recency bias.
Mm-hmm.
But I had such a good time last week talking about the talented Mr. Ripley.
I had that in mind.
I'm gonna take that one. Talented Mr. Ripley, such a good movie.
It is.
Yeah, I want to.
It was beautiful. It was so fun to be back in that world.
I'm gonna take that as my fifth round.
Mm-hmm.
I have another one here, and I'm trying to figure out. I still have another film on my second tier, which I don't think anyone's gonna take. So I have to kind of strategize here. Interesting. I'm gonna chance it that it's gonna hang around for another round or two.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking. What have I got? Do I have? I feel like I got a lot of serious. I don't have a lot of fun. I mean, like I got a lot of hardcore movies.
Nathan, make a choice.
I know. Okay, I am gonna go with a comedy because I need some fun in my life. I got a lot of serious movies here. I'm going with Office Space.
Damn it! Fine. I'm in protest. I'm not. All right. I'm torn between two animated films, but hopefully it'll work out. I can have both. I'm going to go for now with Princess Mononoke.
Ooh, I totally forgot that came out in 99. Great. That is actually my favorite Miyazaki. So
it's up there.
Sam, sixth pick.
That would go one.
It'd be Galaxy Quest.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hey, if you like Galaxy Quest, you should come out on January 10th.
Have we talked about this? We have a live event, our 100th episode, January 10th, Weston Art and Innovation Center, 6 to 10 p.m. We'll be there. Special guest, prizes. So much fun.
So much fun.
Be there. Check our website. Check our socials for more information. Yeah. Okay. Sam, start of the seventh round.
Sleepy Hollow.
Solid. Rewatched it this year for Halloween. So fun. Holds up. All right, it's back to me.
It is.
That's so hard. I'm going to go with a movie I saw on TV 700 times, The Green Mile.
I want to revisit it. Every time I think about putting that on, I look at the 3-hour runtime and I'm like, I gotta power through, and I haven't done it. I loved it when I saw it in the theater.
I saw it 800 times, and it's just so sad that I almost never want to rewatch it. But it was one of those, that and The Shawshank Redemption were just playing for me all the time.
Seventh pick. I got 4 movies left here. I gotta really think this through. Oof. I got a comedy last time. I feel like I need more fun. But this is not gonna be a fun pick. This is gonna be actually a movie that is one of my favorite Spike Lee movies, which I really dig, and that is Summer of Sam.
I've never seen that one.
I really love this movie. And it's the movie that I think I consider to be Adrian Brody's breakout as well.
Okay.
I discovered him. And it's not a very big role for him, but he is fantastic in it. It's really, really great. I think it's very underrated. I'm guessing nobody was going to take it, and maybe I took it too early. But, all right. So Summer Sam. Okay. Next up, there's only one other animated movie on here. I have to take Toy Story 2 because it is a fantastic Pixar movie. and I want a little animation. I want some more comedy. I want some more fun on my list. I'm going with Toy Story 2. Really good Pixar movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
That was not my animated movie, but yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, but you took the Mononoke one, so we got to take something. Yeah. All right. B.
Back to me. 8th round. So I get 3 more, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to go with Run Lola Run.
I saw that. I saw that in the theater at the Nickelodeon in Boston. Great pick. I love
that movie.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Right. Yep. Sam, it is the 8th round. You got 2 picks here, 8th and 9th round.
Okay, I'm going to go with October Sky.
Ooh.
And
I
am going to get slammed for this one.
It's coming. Phantom Menace, right?
No, this movie's a guilty pleasure. Here we go. Bicentennial Man.
Oh, I thought about it. UGLY.
I gotta say, I have never seen it.
I love it, and I love the Celine Dion song, and I have the suck. And it got terrible reviews, but I highly enjoy it. Did that take me up to, that was 8 and 9 for me, right?
Yep, 8 and 9. We are up to B for her 9th round pick.
Let me guess, B. Wing Commander? Just kidding.
Analyze this.
All right.
Fun movie. Fun comedy.
It's a comedy.
Like when the guy mispronounces consigliere. It's fun.
It is a comedy.
You're like, technically it's a film.
Okay. How do I want to wrap? This is the thing. Now I got 2 picks. I got to wrap up my whole list with these 2 picks.
Mm-hmm.
And I want my list to be well-rounded. And I feel like it's not equally weighted, but I don't know. There's a movie here I really love, but it kind of falls into a lot of the themes of other things. There's really heavy dramas in here. I need an action movie. Well, I have Matrix, I have Fight Club. I'm going to go a little deeper into my list and grab something kind of just silly, stupid, but it's a movie that is a guilty pleasure for me that I can't not. Anytime I see it on TV, I have to stop what I'm doing and watch it because it is just so stupid and so much fun. And it's Deep Blue Sea.
I almost put that on mine. That's a great movie.
And it actually is like a really low tier on mine, but it is just
it's so much
ridiculously fun. So I am going with Deep. Is it Deep Blue Sea or The Deep Blue Sea? I forget, but
just Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea, because there is The Deep Blue Sea, which is a completely different film, which came out around the same time. Okay, all right. So that's my 9th pick, and my final pick. I gotta think here. Oh man, there's some big ones still on here that. And I realized I feel like the stake should be that if I don't pick these movies, I will never watch these other ones. I'm looking at it that way. All right, here's what I'm
Disney Channel original movie Johnny Tsunami. Is that what you're thinking?
This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick what I feel is the second best. Okay, so Sam, you took the best Pierce Brosnan movie of that year, but I'm going to take the second best Pierce Brosnan movie of that year, and that is his second best James Bond entry, and that is The World Is Not Enough. I think it's the second best one, and it's a really good James Bond movie after GoldenEye. So I'm going to take The World Is Not Enough.
I revisit Tomorrow Never Dies about 12 million times for some reason.
That's one I don't, but
I love that one. I
get that one. Wait, I get The World. Tomorrow Never Dies. The World Is Not Enough. No, I am right. I like this one. Yeah. Okay.
The World Is Not Enough is the one with Tomorrow Never Dies. Is with Michelle Yeoh and Jonathan Pryce is the villain. I love that one.
I think that one's. I think The World Is Not Enough is.
I've
better
never
than that
seen
one.
this movie that you guys are talking about.
We're gonna have to do a Bond retrospective.
Oh, that would be so long.
Not like all of them.
Okay, maybe.
More Movember.
Yes.
Maybe.
Nathan, I don't expect you to like it better than The World Is Not Enough, but revisit Tomorrow Never Dies once, and
I watched it in the theater. I watched it again like a couple years later at home, and is that the one that has to do with like a newspaper?
Yeah. See, interestingly, I prefer that one to. Denise Richards really bothers me in The World Is Not Enough. I mean, she's okay, but she's just like, I hear you though.
Okay.
Critics liked it. I mean, yeah.
I wanted some variety. B.
It sounds like a pretty flatline pick. I'm torn between two. Do I announce what they both are and give you two the power to decide? Because
you want to give us we can pick for you.
Yeah, maybe. Election. I do just love this movie. Of our 99s, this is a movie that I just could go back to again and again. Or Buena Vista Social Club, because I love having some Vim.
Mm-hmm.
So I could do either.
I don't know how to pick between those. Those are like,
I know they're totally different. They're totally different vibes. Let's go with Election. Recency bias.
Here's what I will say. I have not seen the movie Buena Vista Social Club, but I've listened to the soundtrack so many times.
Yeah.
So I love the music, but I've never seen the actual film.
Yeah.
So I like the soundtrack more than the movie Election. I'll tell you that.
I love the movie Election. I think I'm going to pick Flick.
All right.
Just had to work it out with you guys.
Election is your 10th and final pick. Sam, you have the final pick of our 1999 draft.
And it's Disney Channel original movie, Johnny Tsunami.
Phantom Menace is still out there.
Three Kings.
So it's like The Sixth Sense. And
Three Kings. I thought you were going to go like End of Days or come on, Three Kings. That's a good
I'm
pick.
surprised did either of you do Any Given Sunday?
Oh, fuck that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's on my 5th or 6th tier.
I don't know if it holds up. I'd have to watch it again, yeah.
I don't know if it holds up. I mean, Al Pacino gives a really audacious performance in it, and he's fun in it, but I haven't seen it in a while. The one movie that I kind of danced around that I didn't do was Man on the Moon, which is a movie I love.
I love that movie. Yeah. I would have picked that. I forgot it was 1999.
I was thinking about Iron Giant as my second animated.
Yeah.
I would have picked Tomorrow Never Dies if I could, but that's a 97 Pierce Brosnan. It's not 99, yeah.
Good year for movie.
Any other regrets?
No. Maybe.
No regrets. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
There's a lot of fun, like, I don't know. I like my list. I'm happy with it.
The only thing I told between, if I didn't pick Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, it was either going to be that or the Boondock Saints. So that was my two choices.
Picked the right one.
I think I picked the right one there. Yeah.
I thought about Girl Interrupted. It's like maybe that. I was surprised no one went for American Beauty or The Sixth Sense, although I'm glad no one went for American Beauty.
Yeah. You know what? I feel bad. At the time, I liked American Beauty when it came out.
Sure.
I will say. And I wonder if is it one of those movies that we're not allowed to like anymore?
I don't think that's a thing, but I think if you had a hard time watching Election, maybe don't revisit it.
For some reason, like American Beauty, if back in 1999, if I were to watch American Beauty and Election, I would have been totally team American Beauty versus Election. I can't explain why. It's maybe because I was at the time a big fan of Kevin Spacey. I thought he was a fantastic actor, and I
think most of the world would agree with you on that at that time.
Yeah.
In hindsight, it is maybe the cringiest movie there is.
But the director is amazing, though. It's Sam Mendes.
Ball.
Yeah.
Oh, Sam Mendes.
Yeah.
Was it Alan Ball or Sam Mendes? It was
Sam Mendes.
Yeah.
Why am I thinking Alan Ball? But you're right, Sam Mendes. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right.
Yeah.
I also thought about The Limey.
I've never seen it.
Really good. Steven Soderbergh. Yeah. Terrence Stamp. Good revenge movie.
I like Terrence Stamp.
All right.
Who doesn't?
All right. So I think that concludes our 1999 movie draft. But the most important thing is, you, our audience, who do you think won this draft? Which host do you think drafted the best is what I'm trying to say.
And why is it B?
Why is it B? Right. Okay. Well, this was fun. we'll have to do this again maybe next year or some other time with another type of draft.
We'll
or
do 94.
Year. 94 is a
that's
great
such
year.
A better year. Yeah, way better than 99. Yeah.
You think so? 99?
Yeah.
I think they're both
99 is one of my least favorite years of the 90s.
Really?
It's decent, but it's got so much it's got like a lot of hoity-toity independent. Like 94 has just like movies 100 years from now people will love. But 99 is like, you know,
1994.
We're smart. Yeah.
I recently watched Hudsucker Proxy, and that's a 94 movie, and I was like crying at the end of it. That's great.
It is my top 5 Coen Brothers.
Well, they haven't made a ton of movies, Nathan.
I would even argue that 94 is the best year of the 90s. That's just me.
I love 94. It's a year for me.
Because it has everything. It fires on action thrusters, on like emotional. Like it's just 99 does have a lot though. You know.
I love Stargate. Anyway, this is not a 99.
I love Stargate. Yeah, I love Stargate.
Next week, 94 movie draft.
No, okay. Next week, Magnolia.
Next week, we are coming back with our discussion of Magnolia from Paul Thomas Anderson, our first Paul Thomas Anderson movie. So,
wow.
And I can't wait for his movie coming out next summer, too. Should be pretty cool. All right. I think that concludes it. That does it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Let's wrap it up here. That's our show this week. Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Special thanks to Brian Ellsworth for our show opening. Or is it our opening anymore? I don't know. Just go with it. Okay. All right. On behalf of all of us, we bid you farewell from the fallout shelter. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Find more of our episodes at backtotheframerate.com and follow us on our socials with our handle Back to the Frame Rate. Your support brightens our bunker. Until next time, stay with us. Keep hope alive and share our show with your friends. This is the end of our transmission. Back to the Frame Rate, signing off.
I want you to know it's over.